Hey, what is happening, guys? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel. And today, of course, we are going to talk about last night's Game Awards and Nintendo's presence or lack thereof at the show. So yesterday was finally the day. The Game Awards for 2020, the year of the pandemic, did finally happen. And man, there is so much to say about how the show was. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it middle of the road? To me, it had a little bit of all of those things in it, and this isn't really going to be a review of the show, because like I said, I mostly want to focus on what Nintendo did and did not do at the show. So plenty of us discussed what we thought Nintendo might be bringing to the show this year, and of course that does include myself. I talked about some of the big ideas that I was hoping they were going to bring to the show, and were they going to have a big presence? Were they going to give us a big Megaton surprise announcement? Were they going to bring Zelda? Were they going to show Metroid? Were they going to have a new IP or a third-party exclusive? Or were they maybe going to be a no-show altogether? And it turns out that really none of those happened. The main thing that they did, we all obviously know, is they opened up the show. They really started the official Game Awards presentation with a pretty big confirmation, the fact that Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII is coming to Smash Bros. As the new DLC fighter. Now, what's pretty interesting about this is actually early in the morning yesterday, way before the show even aired, Nintendo actually made an official tweet where they said, hey, tune into the Game Awards later tonight where we're going to reveal the new Smash Bros. Character. So that was very exciting and also not really typical of Nintendo, if you think about it, the fact that they were willing to let everyone know ahead of time that something big was going to happen. And something big that isn't a part of their own show, right? This is different than a Nintendo Direct, a show put on by Nintendo. This is the Game Awards. This is Jeff Keighley's thing, and the fact that they were willing to say, this is what we're going to do at the show, was, like I said, not typical, but also very cool, because I think a lot of people were predicting that a Smash Bros. Character might show up at the show. Obviously, we had Joker revealed 2 years ago at the show, so there's precedence for Nintendo to do this, and we all wanted to know what the next character was going to be, and the fact that it was Sephiroth was definitely cool. Now, I'll reiterate a little bit of what I said on Twitter, and those of you who are familiar with me would already know this. So I'm not a big RPG or JRPG fan, I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan, I even played the entire Final Fantasy VII Remake, and while I didn't outright hate it, I also didn't really enjoy it. There was a lot of frustrating elements to me about that game. So Sephiroth and the Final Fantasy franchise isn't exciting to me. However, I gotta admit that this is actually a fantastic get. I think that it should be really easy, more than most other DLC fighters, in my opinion, for a lot of people to understand why this is a really strong get, and something that is a quality choice for a DLC fighter for Smash Bros. And luckily, this is actually one of the few times I can ever remember where I've seen almost no complaints about this choice. Because almost every time there's a new character revealed, there's the people who are excited and the people who don't care, or the people who are outright mad. And I really only see people pretty much excited about this, or at least accepting of it. Like, my perspective is, again, I don't care about the character or Final Fantasy or any of that stuff, but I actually think this is a great choice, and I'm kind of excited to play him. Like, maybe it doesn't make sense because I'm not a Final Fantasy fan, but I mean, I can only tell you what my gut is telling me, and my gut says, I don't care about Final Fantasy, but I do think Sephiroth is pretty cool, so I'm absolutely going to be picking him up as part of the Fighter's Pass. I also think it is important to note how Nintendo was able to open the show with the Smash Bros. Thing. The fact that the Game Awards was willing to make one of the very first things of the official show, not the weird pre-show, but the official show, something from Nintendo, really the only major thing from Nintendo, is a pretty big deal because, you know, and I referenced this in my video a couple of weeks ago about this, Nintendo and the Game Awards have had a unique relationship over the years, and it's mostly been a good relationship. There's been a couple of years where Nintendo didn't really bring much to the show, and I think that that does count this year as well. But there's also been a lot of years where they've brought some big stuff. I mean, again, the most notable thing is showing off Breath of the Wild for the very first time, when it was still Zelda Wii U. And so, you know, the fact that Jeff was willing to say, well, Nintendo, this is the one thing you're bringing, so let's put it at the beginning of the show to get people hyped. I thought that was great and very smart, and it's only aided by the fact that Sephiroth is an exciting choice for Smash fans. Now, I do think it's also important for us to explore the other side of this conversation, and it's what Nintendo didn't do or didn't show at the show. Now, really the only other things Switch related that were at the show that I can really think of was the confirmation, and this is awesome, of Ghosts and Goblins remake or remaster, whatever they're calling it, coming to the Nintendo Switch from Capcom. That is so freaking cool. I was so excited and freaking out about this. It looks amazing. It's not like Nintendo came to the show to give us this big reveal. It was just a trailer amongst other trailers, but it's very exciting. And then they had an updated trailer for Monster Hunter Rise and the confirmation of a demo coming for that game in January. So that was also cool. I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan. I cannot wait for Monster Hunter Rise. I'm incredibly excited. The game looks fan-freaking-tastic. So it was cool to see that we're going to have like a demo or a beta available and to just see more footage of the game. And really that's it. You know, the big thing is the Smash Brothers thing. That's Nintendo coming to the show with a big Nintendo first-party reveal for a first-party game. And then there was Capcom's announcement of Ghosts and Goblins, and then a new trailer for Monster Hunter. And really, for the most part, that was it. So no big presences, no speeches or appearances from anyone from Nintendo. The closest we got was Reggie, who is ex-Nintendo, just presenting an award, which we knew was going to be the case. I tweeted to people not to expect Reggie to just announce a Switch game because he doesn't work for Nintendo. But of course, people start thinking that stuff, and he did what he was supposed to do. So no one from Nintendo was there to represent, no new trailers, no new announcements of new games. Really, it was just Smash. I think for myself and for a lot of people, the absence of Zelda or Breath of the Wild 2 in any capacity being at the show is probably the biggest disappointment, and that's the biggest hole in my heart that I feel, right? Because I definitely discussed, and I saw many other people share this opinion as well, that Breath of the Wild 2 had a pretty strong chance at showing up, right? I mean, they've brought Zelda stuff, Zelda announcements, specifically related to Breath of the Wild to the Game Awards at least 2 times before. And so with Breath of the Wild 2 sometime on the horizon, many of us thinking it might be holiday next year, I think it made sense for Nintendo to maybe bring a new trailer or a release window or even a title of the game, some kind of new footage to the Game Awards, to have a Doug Bowser or a Koizumi or someone there. I mean, Eiji Aonuma, of course, to just talk about and share, hey, you know, new Zelda's coming, here you go. And that didn't happen, you know, we didn't hear from Zelda, we did not see Breath of the Wild 2. Nintendo was under no obligation to bring anything to the show. I do want to put that out there. I maybe wish I said this earlier on in the video, but hopefully you guys watch long enough to hear me say this. And that's why I'm not mad about anything they didn't do. I have no anger at all about Nintendo, what they showed or didn't show. We're really just discussing it matter-of-factly, just for the sake of conversation. And so I do want to put it out there. Nintendo wasn't obligated to bring Zelda, but I did expect it a little bit, and I also wanted to see it. I mean, I am a Zelda fan. I cannot wait for Breath of the Wild 2. So it is disappointing that Breath of the Wild 2 or any other big Nintendo announcement wasn't there, but I'm not mad about it, and hopefully you're not mad either. And so really, that's almost all we have to discuss here, right? Not really the longest video or conversation from me, you know, obviously compared to my normal videos. I think it was interesting to talk about the exciting surprise reveal of Sephiroth and the fact that it's, to me, such a quality addition that even myself as a non-Final Fantasy fan am excited about that choice. And then the fact that they really didn't bring anything else, and we didn't see Zelda, Breath of the Wild, or Metroid, or F-Zero, or Pikmin, or anything. Even a new IP, we didn't see any of that stuff, you know. Capcom brought 2 great games, Monster Hunter and Ghosts and Goblins, and that was it. So, you know, I'll reiterate what I was just saying a minute ago here. I think it's important not to be upset about this if you're a Nintendo fan, like I'm a Nintendo fan. I said this, Nintendo is not obligated to bring anything. No company is obligated to bring anything any given year, especially this year. And I think that maybe part of the reason Nintendo didn't have a strong showing is, you know, like I am theorizing, I think early in the year they're going to have some sort of big announcement, maybe a new Nintendo Direct, some sort of big Nintendo-focused presentation where they're going to start to lay out some exciting 2021 stuff. And maybe Nintendo wanted to bypass the Game Awards audience and focus more on the Nintendo audience and reveal it through their own channels. That may or may not be a mistake. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. You know, I liked the idea of them coming to the Game Awards audience and showing stuff to more than just diehard Nintendo fans. But they didn't want to do that, and so maybe in January or February we get another big info dump from Nintendo, and that could be extremely exciting. Like, I can't wait to see what they might do. We all expect Nintendo to have a stacked 2021, so it's an exciting time right now for Nintendo fans. But obviously, this was not the time. The Game Awards was not the place for Nintendo to make a big statement and show a bunch of big stuff. It's disappointing, but it's okay. Nintendo ain't dead. They're gonna eventually come around with new announcements, so even if we're sad about the lack of stuff last night, that's okay. Let's just focus on Sephiroth for now. Sakurai is giving us a presentation next week on the 17th about it, and probably going to give us a date for when we can use him, or buy him, I should say. And that's going to be great. So for now, that's what we have to talk about when it comes to Nintendo at the Game Awards. Tell me what you think, talk about it below, and with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of BotW2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.